folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium. Today we're going to have a look at Bitcoin and a couple of other crypto assets. Today's webinar is sponsored by FX Street. I've been doing these webinars for FX Street for several years, and I really like them. So lots of gratitude to FX Street for having me on to do these. So today we're going to talk about a few things. The agenda is the following. First of all, what the hell is going on? I think a lot of people are asking themselves that question, trying to find answers to what on earth is going on, because the world is really being shaken up for the time being. And we're also going to look at some macro trends and how what's going on currently is affecting trends, both shorter term but also on the macro level. I'm going to show a couple of things that I'm looking at that I find interesting. And again, this is not investment advice, this is just me going over some ideas. We'll have a look at Bitcoin on a chart. And we'll have a look at something else on a chart. It's the chart that I've taken a screenshot of that we'll visit, and then we'll have a look at some questions at the end if there are any. Okay, so our first point is what the hell is going on? The public knows that the end of last year, the beginning of this year, this mysterious virus surfaced and started spreading like wildfire. And this has caused a lot of madness in the world. One thing that really confuses me is that when in the history of humankind has the whole globe, all governments of all countries in the world agreed before? They've never agreed on one thing. But all of a sudden, when COVID emerges, every single government, or most of them, can all agree on how to deal with COVID. And the strange thing is that typically if there's some kind of infectious disease or something needs to stop spreading, you isolate what it is that you want to keep safe. Okay, but now instead of doing that, they are attempting to isolate the whole population of the planet, which doesn't make sense at all. I mean, there are some serious consequences in doing so, and we're starting to see those now. Okay, we're seeing incredible lockdowns and draconian policies pushed through Parliament very, very quickly in places like Victoria and Australia. We're seeing lockdowns in the UK. This is the second lockdown I think they're currently in the middle of. And we've seen crazy lockdowns in Spain and Italy and all other places all over Europe as well and all over the world. So things are going pretty crazy. And lockdowns have an unbelievable effect on the population, number one, but also the economy. And I think it was the director of the Center for Disease Control who said that more people have died of suicide than of COVID. And that's pretty alarming. If you look at the numbers, that's very, very alarming. And so one thing that all these lockdowns and the fear around COVID are doing is they're creating a lot of uncertainty. People don't really know what's going on. They don't know what to do. They're very frightened about what to do. Maybe you lose your job and you can't pay your mortgage. What do you do? I mean, there are some serious consequences for what's going on. So people are also looking for places, if they have some money, to put it. They don't know what to do with it. Maybe they're a little bit uncertain about keeping it in the bank. There's also a lot of uncertainty regarding inflation, how the central banks around the world are trying to stimulate the economy by giving money away for free. And so they're printing euros and dollars, and they're trying to give this money away for free in an attempt to get the citizens of these countries to spend it in order to support the economy. And also central banks, the Federal Reserve included, have also started to buy stocks in order to support the economy. It's ludicrous to do something like that. This is something that's, these are uncharted waters, so this is something that the Fed is trying to do in order to support the economy. If we have a look at the macro the trends and how they're affected, I mean, we are currently seeing a major push, a major rush in crypto. And this is probably because of the uncertainty. People are losing faith in the dollar as a safe haven because the Federal Reserve is out of control. So they're looking for something that is less affected by inflation. Okay, and I think the push that we're seeing currently in crypto is a little different than the one we saw in 2017, which was fueled primarily by speculation. This time around, people are fearful. They're trying to find a safe place to put their money. Gold has traditionally and historically been a good place to store money, to store value, wealth, but it's very difficult to move. And so logistically, it's not a clever place to store wealth. But crypto is. And if I want to send a gold bar to my mother, besides the porto and sending out, there are a lot of other considerations I have to think about. How do I get the gold bar to her safely? How do I ensure that no one steals it? How do I know it doesn't get lost? But crypto, it's a different story. I simply enter my mother's wallet address and I send her the money she needs, and then it's done within half an hour, an hour. It's super easy. the second point here on the macro trends, and I think this is something that's very important to understand, and that is the increased speculative interest in crypto assets like Bitcoin. Institutions have changed their stances regarding crypto assets. The CEO of Goldman Sachs several years ago said that he would fire any of his traders if he saw them buying Bitcoin, but they've turned completely on their opinion of cryptocurrencies, and now they're starting to speculate themselves and buy Bitcoin. Another beautiful thing about crypto is that the supply is limited, so you can't print more Bitcoins to stimulate them being used. Once the 21 million Bitcoins has been distributed, then that's it. There are no more. That's all there is. There's only 21 million. And so this is a really nice place to move assets to because it will not be affected by inflation. It could also be a very advisable place to hedge inflation risk. Decentralized finance has massive utility. I mean, it's taking off. We have thousands of projects being implemented using the Ethereum blockchain technology, using smart contracts. And if you consider what's going on with the central banks, centralized finance, so CEFI, is very frightening, as we're currently witnessing. We have QE infinity in the US, which means that they'll print as much money as they need to support the economy. And so the supply will increase and continue to increase. And when supply of something continues to increase, well, then the value of it typically drops. And so this is something that could be looming just around the corner. And so people are quite nervous with the concept of centralized finance. Can we trust the banks anymore? Trust the governments who write the regulation to control our banks? I think these are some very important questions that we should be asking ourselves. So people have lost faith, and they're losing faith in governments and the banks, the establishment, these financial institutions that have been there for a long time. I mean, people are really getting nervous about the safety of their money when witnessing things like QE infinity. And so these are also some real things to be concerned about. So what I'm currently looking at is I'm looking at Bitcoin, I'm looking at Ethereum, and I'm looking at UTK, which is a token that was issued by a company called Utrust. And I'll get to that in just a minute. But Bitcoin, it's a global open source platform. Open source is good, which is why, because it's scrutinized by the public eye. So anyone can download the source code and they can read it. They can look for vulnerabilities. They can issue security patches, product updates, all sorts of stuff. And so people can really get actively involved in the development of Bitcoin, which is great. It's decentralized, which is very good as well. So no central entity can shut it down. So if a country wishes to outlaw Bitcoin, they can't shut it down. There is decent anonymity and privacy when it's used properly, which is nice. So there's big brothers not looking over your shoulder. There's been a lot of talk about e-currency, so the e-dollar and the e-euro and the e-krona and all of this. And this would be an attempt to implement a digital currency issued by a central bank. And the thing that I don't like about that is that what you can see here with the anonymity and the privacy completely disappears. The central bank can see exactly what you spend your money on. They know how much you sent to who and when, and there's complete transparency. And so they can do whatever they like. They can also seize your funds. They can seize your account. They can freeze your assets. They can deduct money what they like. But back to Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin, it's a lot easier to store than gold. I mean, where would you store gold? Do you keep it under your mattress? Do you put it in a storehouse, a safe house? And do you trust these people to store your Bitcoins? These are all valid concerns. I know a person who has been buying silver and gold coins for about 2-3 years, and I'm wondering where they keep them. Do they keep them in the house, in the mattress, under the floorboards? Are they buried in the garden? I mean, you don't have to do that with Bitcoin or any crypto asset. You simply have your wallet, and then you create your security phrase, which is typically a string of 8 to 20 words, and then you store this safely. It can be encrypted. It can be put in a safe. You can store it many different places simultaneously, but you can't store your gold. You can't make a backup of your gold both in your garden and in your mattress and in your bank. Crypto assets are much easier to store and keep safe. If we have a look at Bitcoin, this is what it looks like currently. This is all of the crypto. Let's go back. It goes back to about 2010 here, okay, where it was worth a few bucks. Okay, and you can see early adoption and then widespread adoption here. This is where we had the 2017 spike here. But we gave back probably 80% of those gains in the months after it reached $20,000. So a lot of people got involved here, and then it went up here, and then it came back down. And now we form this interesting base just off here. So here we have a parent, we have a child testing it, and we revisited the child here. Now we rallied north, we rallied, accumulated, and we shot north, removing all of the micro supply in this little price structure here. And then we revisited the origin of this move, which was down here, and now price has just left, and it's and I think the moon is the is the next stop. But note also that we have not reached these highs yet, and so price could have some difficult times moving through here. And so I think that you can easily see here that price is pretty overextended. We have a lot of price inefficiencies just here, moving from this area of weekly and daily demand up to here. With this, we can mark it off like this. We have something like this. This is like the thicket of it. So we have this area here, just here. This is the origin of this move, and then we have this one here, which I think is interesting as well. This looks nicer on the daily chart, but this is close to the origin of this move here. So if we go back to the daily chart, you can see this one. This is the one that looks interesting. Our price came down, we poked into this price structure here, we rallied, we kind of kept coming back, pulling the slingshot back, and then this one here is the one that left. We rallied, accumulated, and we went north. So this is a very attractive price, the 75.68. We spoke about this price down here several months ago, actually, when price was around here. You can check the YouTube channel for that. But we said that this price here, this little price nodule here, which is clear on the weekly chart, would be an attractive place to begin to buy. The beginning of the buy zone was the lows of the section here. We talked about this one just here as well. So there's a lot of potential for price to move higher from a major origin like the one we saw here. Okay, so now price rallied, and then we have this one here, which I think is very interesting. We have the beginning of the buy zone here, and we have the area right there. So this could be an interesting area. If price comes back there, I'm thinking it probably will eventually, it's just a matter of time. Normally price cannot continue to move up and up and up and up and up. We have to move lower to attract buyers in order to have price continue moving higher. Okay, and so I mean, we have a few areas that we could look at here, but currently price is very high. We're up at 15,000. Does that mean it's not going to keep going? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. I mean, it's so hyped at the moment, Bitcoin. There are hedge funds pouring into it. As a matter of fact, I think this move here out of this area of accumulation was a result of a major hedge fund buying 5,000 Bitcoins. So this caused price to break out, move above these highs and this high here. And so, as we spoke about, mainstream adoption, if hedge funds are speculating and buying Bitcoins, well then you know that there's some serious liquidity moving into Bitcoin. Yeah, so that's what we have there. So there's a lot of upside potential. There are many people who speculate that Bitcoin will go up to $100,000. There's also a gentleman on Twitter, Plan B, and he did an interesting study of the stocks and flows of commodities, diamonds, gold, and other precious metals and stones. And according to stock and flow analysis, Bitcoin should be reaching $1 trillion per Bitcoin. And so there's an enormous amount of speculation about the future projected value of Bitcoin. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We have Ethereum. It's a remarkable technology, building decentralized applications, also decentralized financial applications. And again, you can get very good anonymity and privacy if you use it properly. And this technology, the Ethereum blockchain, is being used by thousands of tech companies all over the world. And one of them is Utrust. And Utrust is based on the Ethereum blockchain, and it is a crypto payment gateway solution. There is customer protection, a quick dispute resolution. You can pay in almost any instrument you want. You can change from crypto to fiat, fiat to crypto, crypto to crypto. You can go pretty much any direction you want. And they're much cheaper than their competitors. I think PayPal is about 2.6% per transaction, sometimes even as much as 4.6%. Utrust, they're operating at around, I think it's 1%, which is a very fair transaction fee. They have a great team and they have remarkable tech. And these guys I've been following since they released their white paper back in sometime in 2017. They followed their plan very closely, and they've realized their plans and their goals, and they've released an amazing piece of tech as a result. So this is something that I'm also looking at. Okay, if we have a quick look at the UTK token traded against the American dollar. So this is when it was introduced. It kind of gapped up to about 25 cents. Then it came back down. And the pre-ICO and the private seed capital and the pre-ICO and then the ICO, that was, you can't see that's back here. I think they were offering UTK tokens at about 3 cents or 2 cents back here. And so the money was accumulated in and they put it on the market and it gapped up. Now it came back down. It kind of returned back here to fair value, as you can see. Now we formed this chart pattern that looks like kind of a pair of bum cheeks. See here and here. Price came up to here and we rejected. You see price was testing something in here which drove it lower. We tested it. And this, whatever it was in here, was removed by something in here. This is the candle that moved through this, and it opened here. So there's something in this period of accumulation that's interesting. And currently price is sitting at 14 cents, 15 cents per token, which is a smoking deal. And we are starting to race north for the time being. I also really like this one down here, because this is, this here is the origin of this move. The closer we come to the origin, the higher the likelihood that price is going to continue moving higher. When you buy close to turning points in price, as you can see down here, we have an explosive move here. This isn't a turning point, but this is the origin of this. So that gives this credit. We have another one down here, and certainly just down here, as you can see, at the source of this push up here. These are also all interesting places to buy. So I think that when price manages to wriggle down to here or even here and here, then I think we'll certainly see a pretty enormous upside potential. So this is a very interesting technology for you to watch. Well, that wraps up today's presentation. If you have any questions, please drop them in the YouTube or the Discord channel. And thanks for your attention and thanks for watching.